My name is Joan Liversidge.
And mine is Rich Liversidge. We have been married for nearly 30 years. In another 6 months, it will be 30 years.
And we've been together for 35 years. And that 5-year gap is part of the big challenge that we had in our relationship, which was commitment.
We're a blended family. We were each married for 10 to 12 years before this. We have your kids and my kids, know our kids. When we got married, we decided kids we had enough of.
Yes. Yes.
So,
and 13 grandchildren now. So the question you asked us was what the challenge was in our marriage. So commitment for both of us at different times in the 5 years that led up to our meeting and then our getting married was very difficult. Both of us entered into this with a view that we weren't serious, and yet we kind of fell in love with each other, and we said we came into the back door of the relationship. And then the question is, what are we going to do with this? Both of us feeling burnt. I won't speak for you, you speak for yourself.
I think what I would say for me is I came in with more baggage than I expected, and found that I could not give the baggage up as quickly as you could give yours up so that we could make a commitment. So I dragged my feet until the relationship was almost over. Joan was almost out the door.
So can you give us an example of the baggage, or what the problem was?
It was the intense negativity for me, the intense negativity in my previous marriage. I didn't think that affected me, but that wasn't the case. And I found I had a hard time getting past that and saying, I will now trust this new relationship and make a commitment to it. That was very hard for me to do. And it happened pretty much because it was that or the relationship was going to end. So I decided I'd rather have the relationship than be without it. And I said, okay, let's get married.
So the painful part of me, for me in this, was that Rich would tell me, this is the best relationship I've ever had in my life, but I can't commit to you. And that was just heart-wrenching. And I got angry, and by the time he came around through a lot of therapy and group work and other, I guess maybe spiritual work, I'm not sure. And he proposed to me and asked me to marry him, and I said no. And I had this sense that I wanted to be pursued more. So, but
well, and
you did pursue me.
Well, I
came around.
I figured that the no was not really a no, because she would have been more definitive if she'd really meant no, and it just meant that I had to show that I really wanted to do this.
So, but we got married.
10 years later, we almost came apart again over a commitment on my part. I was working very intensely. I was shutting down savings and loans around the country and traveling for weeks at a time. My father had died. There were a number of things going on in my life, and I found that I wanted to leave the relationship. I just didn't see that this was where I wanted to make my commitment now.
And for me, that was extraordinarily painful and difficult. And my pattern in my past had been, if I was threatened by anything like that, I would just run. But it was our faith community and our MEG, we had a marriage enrichment group, as part of our faith community, that held us together and gave me the time and space to see whether or not there was any salvaging, and that's what happened. It was.
Well, part of what you said was, I will stay in this relationship as long as you do these things and do not do those things because if you do those things, the relationship's over and you get in line with everyone else if you change your mind.
Well, and then those things were dating or being involved with somebody else. So I said, I will hang in here with you and see if we can work through what this glitch is, but I won't if you are off with anybody else.
And I agreed to that. I said, okay, let's work on this. This is what we need to get clear about.
And I can't, our community just held us. They came to our house, they worshiped with us, they prayed with us, they held us. We sought out professional counseling. We continued to work with our marriage enrichment group. And over time, we kind of unraveled what had been going on. And at the same time Rich was out working, I was going through a clinical depression. My youngest son was leaving home. We recognized that there was this myriad of external factors that had torn us apart, and we hadn't even noticed it. And we thought we were pretty savvy about
Right.
that.
That was a
and here it
surprise.
had happened to us even when we thought we understood that that happens to couples. So it was a humbling lesson. And we were marriage enrichment leaders, and we stopped leading programs for a year and a half or 2 years until we understood what went on, had some healing, and then we're ready to go back.
And even then,
And our kids.
our
Kids knew about it, and the kids said, this is a blended, this is a step family. The kids said, we want you to be together. Dad, if you're gonna leave, we're not supporting you.
right.
They gave you a hard time.
Which was a
Your
shock.
kids gave you a hard
It
time.
was a shock to me. I figured, kids always support their
They didn't
parents
want
in whatever
another
they
divorce.
do. No, they
I don't
didn't.
think they wanted
No.
another divorce.
So we did do the work, and the result has been incredible blessings
Yeah.
over the last 15 years.
But I remember it was extremely difficult and a lot of high emotion for a long time.
Well, and we found that we had to heal in stages. We did
Yes.
the major healing, and then a couple of years later, there were still some things that we had to go back and tend to.
Yep.
So it was not a one-time process, oh, it's fixed
Right.
and now life is okay again.
Yeah, no, it didn't happen that way.
And even now we're mindful that, those kinds of things happen, and we just need to be careful not to let them, come up
Yeah, one of the
Surprising.
lessons was even though you think you're paying attention, maybe it slips away from you. So periodically now we really check in with each other about the closeness distance and whether and we've continued to do that very intentionally and even more intentionally than before to try and catch something like that. So.
Yeah.
What I would like to say to you is that I am so thankful that you called on your
my spiritual
your
self.
spiritual self and prayed and asked for the answer. And then when you got it, you listened.
Yep,
Because the answer was
the work's here.
here.
Yep,
And we're about ready to have 30 years.
right.
And,
I'm
and they've
looking,
been good.
And I'm looking forward to another 30, God
Oh
willing.
my gosh. At our age? I don't know. Methuselah and